Okay, so shall I text to everybody to join? Shall I text to everybody to join? What do you say, Shama? Shall I text to everybody to join?
Yeah, I think we can. It's 10 minutes.
I don't see my students though. Okay. In case Ravi ji and Javed ji are there, then kindly make them join as panelists. Okay.
Ma'am, Javed ji is already a panelist member. Ravi sir का अभी तक I can't see him.
I'll just text him. I'll just text him in a bit. I'm just texting him. Principal ma'am को भी मैं बोल देती हूँ, ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am. And also the keynote speaker. She has also.
Of course. Thank you for reminding me, Madhuri. I would have forgotten. Okay, has ma'am joined everybody? Madhuri?
Yes, ma'am. Principal ma'am is with us.
Principal ma'am is with us, and we have the other guests also. Has Ratnabali joined?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just call her then. I'll just call her.
Recording in progress.
Okay, ma'am. So we have our keynote speaker with us and principal ma'am also and all the other guests. Dolkar?
Yeah. Should I start then?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to all.
Ratnabali joined?
Yes, ma'am. All the members are, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm starting then.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening to all. A very warm welcome to everyone. On behalf of Women Development Cell Kalandi College, University of Delhi. I, Funsuk Dolkar, teaching economics at Kalindi College, welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of 5 Takes on 1, the Women Development Cell Documentary Film Festival, which is going to be a 5-day-long event from 15th to 19th of February. I extend my heartiest welcome to our keynote speaker for today's session, Ms. Ratnabali Bhattacharya, guest of honor, the chairperson, governing body, Kalindi College, University of Delhi, Mr. Ravi Gupta, respected principal ma'am, Professor Naina Hasija, and Mr. Javed, treasurer, governing body, Kalindi College, University of Delhi, and all of those who are present here today. It's a matter of great pleasure and honor for Kalindi College and the Women Development Cell to curate this documentary film festival on this scale as an inter-college event with participants from different colleges and universities. 5 Takes on 1, the WDC Documentary Film Festival curates 5 particular stories of 5 women. We intend to present 5 personal narratives that speak to very particular life worlds that are straddled by these women. The idea is to suggest that when we speak of women, it cannot be understood in any homogenized way. Every woman comes with particularities that are very singular, and their struggles also mark their individuality in some ways. Through these 5 takes, we wish to show a glimpse at the range of what would be thought of as women's life experiences. All the 5 screenings will be followed by a conversation with the respective filmmaker, who will be joining us for their respective screening and will be followed by a panel discussion. The conversation will be orchestrated by a team of undergraduate students of Kalindi College. To commence our program, now I would like to call upon Professor Naina Hasija, Principal of Kalindi College, University of Delhi. Professor Hasija is a professor of commerce, and her areas of specialization include finance and taxation and human resource management. She's also a member of Academic Council of the University of Delhi, which is the statutory body and represents the highest decision-making of the University of Delhi. Professor Hasija has long years of teaching and administrative experience. An active social worker, Professor Hasija has been working for the upliftment of the underprivileged and weaker section of the society. I now invite Principal Professor Naina Hasija to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you, Dr. Dolkar. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you. Our chairperson, Mr. Ravi Gupta ji, Treasurer Javed ji, WDC chairperson, Dr. Anita Tagore, and all the teachers and dear students. I welcome you all to this evening when Dr. Tagore has, organized such a wonderful 5-day documentary film presentation followed by a panel discussion. I know, actually, speaking, Dr. Anita Tagore is the most appropriate person in the college to work in the WDC. Since the beginning, since the time that I have joined, I've seen her working in all the spheres of, development of the women, not only in Kalindi, but at the university level also. So I'm so happy that she's having an inter-college, this documentary presentation. And I think today we have Ms. Bhattacharya, Ratnabali Bhattacharya ji also with us. A warm welcome to you also. So now I leave the floor to the WDC, Dr. Anita Tagore, to start with this documentary presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite our convener of Women Development Cell, Dr. Anita Tagore, for the welcome address.
I think Principal Ma'am has been very kind to introduce the WDC to all the audience and to Ratnabali who has joined us today. I think it's very important that WDC has today, after taking its infant steps, occupied a space in which we can actually sort of impact on the lives of the students. The main idea, as Funsuk already has told us, about kind of screening all these documentary films is to make 2 important points. One is the way in which there is intersectionality between caste, class, and gender, and its impact on women's lives. The historical disadvantages that women have. That is something that all these films are going to portray. And the second important issue is, it's also a movement that we begin in college and the university today. It is unique in many ways. In fact, never has a film festival being held in an online mode in which we get the directors to come and speak on the films that we are screening. And I think that will be a very important intervention also as a gender activist for all of us at WDC today, where we see the difference between the lens with which we view as an audience and the way the director actually wants to predict the film to be. These are two important things which I thought that I should be able to make at the very first day of our film festival. I'm very, very thankful that the chairman of our governing body and treasurer of our governing body has found the time to join us today. And of course, Ratnabali is a very, very dear friend. And it is really, I'm really excited about the fact that she has given the time to us today despite her shooting schedule today, and in one go she actually said yes to me. I'm very, very grateful for that, and I'm sure it's a great opportunity for our students to kind of interact with her, with the kind of feminist roles that she has donned in mainstream Bollywood as well as in parallel cinema. So welcome, Ratnabali. And I'm very thankful really that you're here with us. So back to you, Funsu.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. Next, I would like to request our guest of honor, the chairperson governing body, Kalindi College, University of Delhi, Mr. Ravi Gupta. He's the president of BGSG Group. Along with being an entrepreneur, he's also an international marketing strategist and philanthropist as well. Currently, Mr. Ravi's mission is to mentor and coach startups and entrepreneurs through the GIL Impact, which stands for Growth is Life, which is a peer coaching community started by Mr. Ravi himself, through which he's creating difference in the society. Mr. Ravi comes with a vast managerial experience of working as a CEO with many multinational companies headquartered at France and Japan, later turned as an entrepreneur running companies in e-commerce and garment exports. With this, I invite Mr. Ravi to address the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Fistong. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Anita. On this graceful event, I would like to thank Women Development Cell, Kalindi College, for taking this wonderful initiative. I also would like to thank our esteemed chief guest, Ratnabali Bhattacharya. I feel privileged to see you here. Our honorable principal, respected faculty members, our lovely dear students, and all the guests. When I came to know about this from Anita, I was deeply, convinced that I must take out the time to attend this. So the WDC Documentary Film Festival, named 5 Takes On, is a unique event, the like of which has not, in my understanding, has been done before in the history of institution, or not even, anywhere I've seen, in Delhi University. I would like to appreciate the convenership of Dr. Anita Tagore, primarily for conceiving the idea of curating the story of women in a way that is more evocative and poignant as a film. As films are, in fact, the most powerful medium to carry the most powerful and yet the most subtle of the message. In the context of much discussions around the representation of the women in that public sphere, a film festival that foregrounds the intersectionality between the gender, class, caste, age, sexuality, and even the regional particularities are the much needed conversation of the hour. This is what I think. So I believe the documentaries curated help to bring home just this very important point across. The students are going to grow in terms of their gender sensitivity, being attuned to nuances, and furthermore, learning through the conversation with the eminent filmmaker filmmakers like you guys, right, themselves who would honor the festival with their participation from across the country. It is also a point to note here. The students of Kalindi College have been made an integral part of this conversation as it interests them with the task of the panel discussion. I again, as I would like to say, I feel privileged to be here. I would like to thanks again Dr. Nita Tagore, because this is something I never thought I will get an opportunity when I was made the chairman of Kalindi College. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Fuston. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ravi, for your thoughtful address. Before moving on, I would like to request you all to drop in your queries in the chat box, which will be taken up at the end. And the attendance form will be shared, attendance of the feedback form will be shared as well at the end. Kindly fill it as well. So we are extremely fortunate and grateful to have among us as today's keynote speaker, Mrs. Ratnabali Bhattacharya. Ratnabali Bhattacharya is an actress who hails from Calcutta. She was born and brought up in this place and did her schooling from La Martiniere, Calcutta, and graduated from Presidency College. She got involved in theatre and later headed to Mumbai. She continued to work with theatre and also got involved in modeling as well. She did a couple of commercials from different brands. She worked in the film called Shore in the year 2011, playing the character called Meena. She went on to work in the film Epiphany. Her other films include Mumbai Calling, Offshore, Waiting, Meal and John Kai, to name a few. She has also worked in TV shows like Upsource, Pocket Computer, some of which are still running. She's also a director, writer, and producer. She owns the production company called Habi Jabi Productions, which she launched in 2015 as a sole owner. So with this, I would like to invite Ms. Ratnabali to share her experiences and her struggles.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you. This is really quite something. It's very special when you get to, connect with an old friend from college way back 20 years ago, to be a part of something so wonderful. Really, kudos to you for doing this, which is, I think, very, very important. And I guess this is one of the positives of the pandemic. It allowed us to start thinking digitally and thereby actually letting me be sitting in Bombay doing this with you guys. So hurrah for that. Now, I am an actor. I'm a writer as well and a director of theatre plays, etc. I have written a couple of, one web series and one dark sketch for a online platform, and I have acted in movies and web series. And I am not an Instagram star. It's strange. I am an actor, hence I should be, in this rat race that whereby everyone kind of puts up that post every day on Instagram about their shooting life and about this and that and keeping up that, that special thing, which for me is very difficult to do because I actually suffer nowadays a little bit from social situations. It is very strange. When I'm an actor, then I'm fine, but otherwise I am a bit of a introvert, as should I say. Anyway, so my journey has always been to do with the craft of acting. I really, really thoroughly enjoy it. And I began with theater. And as a result, the kind of training that I had, the way my directors helped me understand the script, I don't think any film work would have managed that. So I'm really thankful that I began with theater. And it kind of made me the actor that I am today. I am a bit of a thinking actor, so to speak. So I don't put myself out there. I find it difficult to do that. Although it is, kind of when in Rome, do as Rome does. But I am the kind of actor who just wants the work to speak for itself. And so that I don't have to say anything, or I don't have to put up any promotional post, or I don't have to do anything apart from just act. That is all I want to do. Now, coming up to what it feels like to be a woman actor in this space, or a woman writer, or a woman director, there's something that I found in one article which I just want to read out. It's in the Times Up UK website. There's an article which notes this, that sometimes women can't ask for control, so they have to take it. Okay? I want you to remember that. Says Alex Levy, a character on Apple TV star-studded new drama, The Morning Show. Levy, played by Jennifer Aniston, is in the middle of a career crisis, while her co-host has been kicked off the program because of a sexual misconduct scandal. She hangs up a phone call in utter frustration and turns to her daughter to deliver the line that summarizes the collective rage of women overlooked for generations. Now, this is obviously in every field, as you know. And of course, especially in the film industry, for sure. Do we have a collective rage? Hell yeah, we do. I get pissed off when I am sent scripts for ads where they're trying to for Women's Day. I remember this particular ad where they sent me a script for Women's Day saying, where the husband's sort of a Sathi Haath Badhana type of thing, where the husband also helps out the wife. And that was done in the script by the husband putting some clothes into a washing machine and pressing some buttons. And that was the ad. And it was supposed to be like, men wanting to help the women, etc. And I get really irritated and annoyed with these things. I mean, I understand that the call that they're trying to do is a big one, but I wish that there were women writers who were behind the scripting and conceptualizing this thing, because I don't think then this is the script they would have come up with, Or for example, nowadays, in ads especially, look at the women who are cast as mothers. They are barely 25. And I don't know, maybe they will come when a 16-year-old will be cast as a grandmother, but God knows they really like their women to be young, which I find really odd. And I kind of steer clear from such scripts which make me feel that it is not representing a true picture of anything. So I always steer clear of such scripts. What else? Yes, there was I'll give you another example of the silly scripts that come through. So there was one script where a movie script where the woman, wife, the only note for her was that she's a nagging character and she only shouts and screams at her husband. And as an actor, I asked for reasons why. Why is she angry with her husband? The reasons given were, no, she's always like this. She is like that kind of a person. She's that nagging wife. She's that screaming character. There is no thought given to why she's screaming, why she's doing this, why she's doing that. And I, of course, I have a bit of a big mouth. And so I did not get the part because I kind of spoke to them at length about this, that why will you not give that much of thought to developing women characters as much as you do for the male characters. So I feel that nowadays, of course, there are some women directors coming through and bringing through the sensitivity that is needed. Usual Zoya Akhtar, Reema Kagti, etc. I have been fortunate enough to work with Reema Kagti and Ruchika Oberoi on a series called Fallen, which will be releasing soon. And I mean, it's a palpable difference I felt on the set, on the way they answered my questions, on how much thought was given, how much, how much openness there was to the discussions between an actor and a director when developing the character, when figuring out how to bring the vision to the screen, which was fantastic. And so, and in fact, that was a hugely woman-helmed production. You know, there were women in every department, which they kind of made sure that that was how it was. So, but however, I must say that male directors also, some of them are do have the right sensitivities. For example, Neeraj Khewan, who the director of Masan, whose first two short films I was fortunate to be a part of. My goodness, he has so much sensitivity that it was such a pleasure to work with him, and to, you know, it was a surprise that here is a man who is willing to go behind the psyche of the woman and look at the whole story from the woman's point of view, and not down the cliched path at all. We had lengthy discussions when he was writing the script, and of both the films, and he took on board a lot of the suggestions that I gave, that, you know, maybe the woman won't react like this over here. She will react like this because of such and such things. And he was open enough to understand that and to do it. So Neeraj was one such very sensitive director I worked with. The other was Aditya Vikram Sengupta, with whom I did Jonaki. Now, I had always wanted to do a very, very, very intellectual, arty film. You know, that was on my bucket list. And thankfully, with this film, I managed to tick it off. Gosh, it was so arty and so intellectual that even during the shoot, we had no idea what was going on. But the director did. And he put together a stunning, surreal film about an 80-year-old woman who goes into a coma, and while in her coma, there are flashes of her life that come through, and it was very interesting. So we had the flashbacks of when this woman was 6 years old, you know, a teenager, getting married, and so on and so forth. But he did not cast a young girl, a 6-year-old, to play the 6-year-old version of this character. This 80-year-old she continued playing all the different ages. So it was very, it was a very different way of looking at things. And I think Aditya is a very sensitive director also because he's a painter. He's a fabulous painter. And his films have layers upon layer upon layer. And he, in fact, his wife is also called Jonaki, and she would also have a large input in the script, you know, and Aditya would take that on. So that was a lovely experience. Now, I'm just looking at some points I had written. Yeah, what I feel is that why is there such a lack of women directors, writers, producers, etc.? we need to change the mindset of the rich women in our country. There's one short film I did called Neel, Abhirup Dasgupta's film, which was financed by 3 women from Calcutta who were married into business families, and they wanted to do some sort of work together as the wives of such successful rich businessmen. But they didn't want to do just the usual same thing of, working for a charity or something. They wanted to do something else, something they hadn't done before. And so they contacted this director, Abhirup, and he went to them with his little script for a short film. And they liked it very much, and they produced it. And it was a beautiful, beautiful film about domestic violence, and it got made. Now, I don't know of any male producer who would be willing to produce a film on domestic violence where the male is not the hero, where the male is the perpetrator of the crime. But it's not just the domestic violence, it's about the larger picture that the short film brings about. Those subtleties, that desire to watch something like that, the desire to make something like that, I think is far more in women than in men. And women, we do have more layers to us, I feel, on an everyday average. I know it's a very vague statement, a very general statement, but I'm happy to put my name to that statement. That's why you're seeing, movies about men that are written by women. For example, Gully Boy, Zoya Akhtar and Reema Kaki wrote that. The women are managing to go into the depths that we have not seen before on the Indian screen. So by hook or by crook, if we can get all the rich women in India to decide to produce some stories and back these projects, that would be great, because we need women making the decisions and not the men anymore. Enough. When men have had their time, we've had their stories. Now I want, as an actor, to have the scope to perform complicated and deep characters. I want more women to be at the helm of things. I've worked with some women directors, Anubhuti Kashyap, Anu Menon. But the very first film I did was directed by a woman called Diane Chetli, an American independent film called Offshore. So actually, I think that is why I want to see more women, because my very first film project was helmed by a woman. And somehow for me, that was the normal, because it was my beginning. And so hence my desire to go back to women-oriented projects, because I always enjoy those more. There's always more scope to go deeper, as I said. Sorry, I may be repeating myself 10,000 times. Bear with me. Now, as a writer working with men, so I was writing for this big content-making platform, an internet digital platform, where they had a really funky office, and with those big sayings, with those big positive affirmations everywhere, and which had a proper girls channel as well, and they would try to hire in equal this thing of men and women writers. And in those script narrations, so I had written a sketch, a dark comedy sketch on marital rape, and it was very dark, and it was very hard hitting, deep in sarcasm. So on my first narration, the men were shell-shocked. Their eyes were big and they were like, my God, this is too much feminism. Are we ready to say this? Are we ready to back this? It's too much, too much. But the women in that office, their voices actually made this happen. They said, no, why? We want this to happen because this was back in 2016. So it was because of the women that spoke up that actually that piece got made. Mind you, it's a young company, that one, this digital platform. Most of these digital platforms do have young people helming it, and I think there is a good side to it. The good thing is that, with people being more aware of exactly how oppression happens and how people are marginalized, how voices are quietened, there was a lot of that talk in that office. And so there was a lot of awareness amongst the men also that we need to keep quiet for the woman to get heard. So, for example, at the script meetings which went on this mandatory rape script, eventually the men's voices got louder, 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 and soon it became the usual conference room where the woman is trying to talk, can't be heard because the men are just going blah, 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 blah. So, but at the end of it, when we pointed out that, hang on, maybe the woman's point of view makes sense because 100% of the women in this office feel that this needs to be made, etc. They did see, they did realize, and this is something with the youth of today, I feel, which is fantastic. They are willing to ask questions. They're willing to be woke and to be criticized to be woke. I don't care about, these terms. It's at least being talked about. They're at least doing something about it. They're trying to. So that was that. The only medium where I have had absolute freedom as a woman with no limits, no glass ceiling, nothing whatsoever. My voice always heard every time has been theater. Theater is the only space where I have managed to make whatever kind of content I have wanted to, act in the way I have wanted to, direct in the way I have wanted to. And it's amazing how men and women, they synergize in theater. And I don't understand why that can't happen in films. Actually, I think I know why. It's because in theater, we don't have money, right? So it's not the producer who's taking the shots. It's the creators. It's the creators who are deciding what the play is going to be. There is much more importance given to the creativity of how the story should be, of what it should be. And there is that is what is brought to the foreground. Whereas in films, it's that one guy who has the money in his pocket. So even if you have an amazing director like Neeraj Devan wanting to make something wonderful, the producer will be like, नहीं इसको ऐसे करते, उसको ये करते, इसमें थोड़ा इमोशन डाल देते, उसमें वो कर देते हैं. ये वुमन को इतना डिफिकल्ट नहीं बनाते हैं, ये वुमन को थोड़ा सॉफ्टर दिखाओ, so on so forth. So it's old money, those producers. So that is another reason why the women producers need to come in, because we've had enough of the men taking charge and having the final say, so what do we do? What are the next steps? So I'm thinking that I'm going to start asking every project that I get, asking them the question that, how many women have you employed in this, in all the departments? Just asking the question. And putting the thought into their heads, maybe the next time when they're getting another project ready, that question will somehow pop into their head that, okay, hey, maybe we can hire some women in this. And not just Savarna women, the Dalit women, they have to be given their voices. They have to be represented, and we all have to do our part in making sure that this happens. I think, again, Neeraj Gavan is the only director I know of who has consciously put out a post on social media asking for Dalit women to come and join him on his next project, Dalit men and women, which I felt was wonderful, because we need to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible to break the old system. And there's a lot of joy in breaking down old systems. So yeah, I guess I'll be just asking that question to each project. Like I always ask every project whether there are guidelines set for sexual misconduct. And just by doing that, I'm letting them know that I'm not going to be keeping quiet if something happens. So there has to be some sort of accountability. And so it kind of makes the production also be like, no, we have it all in place and it's put into my contract. So yeah, I guess starting asking people to be accountable for it. Now, this is something else that I read that, this Time's Up movement that came about because of the Me Too movement. So in the US, it began to look after women in all sorts of workplaces, make sure that they are not exploited in any way whatsoever. So what happened in the UK was a sister initiative got made by actors, writers from film industry and the theater industry. They came together to make up Time's Up UK. So what they did was in 2019, in response to the statistics that women directed just 4% of the top films from the past decade, Time's Up and another initiative called the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, they launched the 4% challenge. What did they do? They asked producers and actors to commit to a woman-helmed project within the next 18 months. And what happened was that major studios like Working Title and Universal, they have signed the pledge. And this is very, very encouraging. Of course, things are not going to change overnight, but it's a move towards the right direction. It's a step towards that. And that's the kind of thing we need to start doing. And I'm just a very simple person. I am a nobody. I am so famous that all of you have heard of me before, right? So, despite that, I have to do my part, I feel. Otherwise, I don't get sleep at night. So I have to do my part in just asking for it. If we don't ask, how will it be supplied, if we don't demand? So, yeah, I guess just stick to your guns. Yeah, I would say stick to your guns and stick to what you feel is right. That's how I've been going along. Any scripts that I get where, the women are showed in stupid light or it's an unfairly or poorly written script, I don't do those. I don't do those because I won't be happy at the end of the day. For me, the craft matters a lot and not the journey to stardom. I don't care about that. I'm happy being a simple person on earth rather than a star in the sky. I enjoy life more and in more dimensions, So I'm thankful that there are women like Guneet Monga, and there are so many of our who's a producer, who's a fantastic producer. She has, if you don't know of her, please read up her life story. She has been through some horrible times, but the way she has stuck to her guns, and made it. She's the producer of Lunchbox as well. It's very, very inspiring. And she always tries to reach out to other women to help them, to support them, trying to get more women to come on board on every project that she works on. And I think this is what we have to do. Just not just women-oriented stories, but make sure that in our cast and crew, we have a lot of women involved, because it makes a hell of a difference, even to the ambience on a set. A woman-oriented set is way more peaceful than, I am being very general here, and I think I'm being a bit unfair, but yeah. Yeah, so I hope, amongst you students, there are more of you than less who want to write some poetry, who want to do anything creative. Do it, go ahead and do it, and support each other and push yourself, because there's no one to pull you. So you'll have to push yourself. I think these are words I should be telling myself, but it's a fun journey. Let's help each other. Yeah, I think now I will stop rambling. I have really rambled through this thing. I've been talking off my head and not, reading out from any script. But yeah, okay. So over to you, Dr. Tagore or Ms. Dolkar. Oh, also it's Miss Ratnabali Bhattacharjee, not Mrs. anymore. Thank God.
Thank you, Ms. Ratnabali. Thank you for sharing your experiences and giving us an insight into perception of women and role of women in the film industry, and what the future holds for women in the industry, and for such a nice inspirational talk. Next, we have these questions by the students, who will be taking up the questions. We have one question from Priya. She is asking, how do you think the role of the jailer that you conformed to masculine standards in your work in Ghoul helped your understanding of patriarchy?
So for that role, initially in the first draft, I think the character was lesbian, and then they changed it to her not being a lesbian. I was quite happy about that, because we don't need to show masculine women as lesbian all the time. So I was glad for that. But so what I did was I made a backstory for my character. She's supposed to be, I also made her Bengali because they wanted it to be a Haryanvi. But I said that we've seen so many Haryanvi cops, and they're always women, and they always talk in that typical manner. And I wanted to break away from that mold. So I suggested to the director that let it be a Bengali woman. To which he was like, oh, really, are Bengali women that, that harsh? So, and are they, willing to like take up guns and all that? I said, of course. I mean, look at the Naxal movement that happened in the 60s. There were lots of women involved in that movement. So yes, Bengali women won't find it difficult to become a really hard, toughened police officer. So I made a backstory for myself where a close, trusted friend of mine, when we were teenagers, had tried to sexually molest me, and that had broken my trust in men and and made me feel that men are just the worst, and I will always be stronger than men. And that is the spine I gave to that character of mine, Lakshmi Das. And so the character is obviously a little bit right-wing. And right-wing for me equals patriarchy. Absolutely. So I guess, yeah, that's where, that's where that harshness came in. Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have another question by Suman. she's asking, in Afsos, there was a casual element in your character, almost a flawless one as a suicide facilitator and then a caring mother. Two different emotions. How did you manage to show both on one canvas?
So again, backstory was discussed between me and the director, Anubhuti Kashyap. And it was that this woman, Maria, she loves her daughter. Her daughter is the only thing that she's living for. Otherwise, she would have killed herself a long time back. And so to look after her, she's happy, and to make that money that she wants to give a good life to her daughter, she's willing to do anything, even if it means becoming a suicide facilitator. So, and also it being, a comedy, an absurd one at that, with crazy storylines, it was fun for me to have that extremely dark streak to an otherwise very lovable Bandra woman, Yeah.
Thank you. Next, I would like to ask a question myself. So, as being someone who has done indie movies, how would you think that in the indie scene is like, and if at all different for a woman as opposed to the commercial film industry? So, what's the generic difference between the commercial and the indie film industries, particularly from a woman's perspective?
Indie film industry as a performer, it's a dream. It's a dream because you know that there will be discussion, there will be debate, there will be a lot of thought given into how a character is, why the character is doing this or that, which I feel in commercial projects, there's not that much time, nor thought, nor attention, nor importance given to developing that. It's more about the entertainment factor in commercial films, and there's much more thought given to that. And so for me, as a woman performer, getting to work in indie projects is great, and so I often do little things. If I find the script to be amazing, of course, indie projects come with one thing, which is low budgets all the time. But I understand why it's low budget. It's because, again, there aren't any decent producers out there who see the beauty of the story. If it's not entertainment, then they don't often produce that. So I'm a little kinder towards indie films than commercial projects. Commercial projects is where I get very defiant about demanding certain amounts of monies, because I feel that for a person like me, for my mental health to remain okay on a set where ridiculous storylines are being followed, I need to be adequately compensated for me to be okay to do such things. So, yeah.
Thank you. Now, if anybody who wants to ask question can unmute themselves and ask the questions. If there's anybody would like to make it more interactive, I'd say.
There are a couple of questions here, Dolka. We could take that up first.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's one by Mauli. She's asking, you have been phenomenal in the role you choose to do, very sharp-edged roles. How do you decide on which roles to pick up?
Oh, thank you for being so kind. Very kind words. Well, for me, the story matters a lot. The writing matters a lot. Even if I find that the audition script, the writing is not well thought out, then I won't even do it. I don't watch a lot. I don't follow a lot of Bollywood cinema or web series because, frankly speaking, I feel again they can be made far more interesting. It's rare that something like a scam comes along. So for me, the story matters hugely. What my character is doing in that story also matters, no matter the size of the role, whether it's a little bit part or a big part. For me, because I've come from theater, the size of the role never matters. I mean, it's about if you have that ego, then you can mesmerize people even with just one scene instead of the whole thing. So that doesn't matter for me. The size of the role doesn't matter. It's about, is the character. I don't like doing information giving characters. I try and avoid those like the plague, where those usual ones which are so poorly written, like those lawyer or journalist or therapist or doctor. It's the characters, they are written very, very poorly. It's the same kind of nonsense. So I just don't like it because I'll get bored even performing. It matters to me, the team doing it. If I feel that this is a team that has mostly done, soapy serials, I run because I don't watch that kind of stuff. It's not my cup of tea. So I run from those. The people involved, again, this is of course, it kind of harms me a little more, but it's about, if they behave badly with people on set, if, the people in charge behave badly with everyone, then I shut down and I have a talk with the people in charge that I don't want this to happen, etc., and that I would be willing to walk off. So a good working atmosphere is hugely important to me. And so if I've heard that this team is known for being nasty to the spot boys, etc., I will not work with them. And so on and so forth. Yeah. If I feel that the director or whoever's approached me, that they really want to tell that story, and I find that even I want to tell that story, then I jump at it, no matter what the money or thing is. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we have another question from Vishaka. She's asking if the role of women is changed in films, will the pathetic condition of women in the society will also improve? What's your opinion on this?
It's definitely a first step. I think so, because imagine a little girl watching a movie where where the woman is shown with much more honesty, with and the woman's point of view is shown. For a little girl to be watching that, it would definitely make an impact, rather than the little girl watching the hero going on hitting on the girl blatantly, and then refusing to take no. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Which woman will want to be hit on repeatedly by somebody, and then just because he says palat, she turns, and it's all wrong? It's nonsense. It's balderdash. And so that kind of stuff it's prevalent on the streets today, in everyone's homes today, of these Saas Bahu serials where the wife is decked up with makeup and heavy saris and jewelry and doing the usual things. I mean, enough is enough, yeah. How much will you brainwash a nation? And more of that is going on now with, all right, maybe I should not talk about it if I need some more work. No. There is government interference happening in the content nowadays. The content creators are all being very scared to be very open and free with the content. No matter what shit is going on in the country, apparently it cannot be shown on the screen, because apparently that is anti-national, which to me is bullshit. But yeah. Pardon my language.
Thank you. next, I suppose, we have covered most of the questions that were mentioned in the chat box. Yeah, Shama would like to.
Hi, thank you so much for that. I'm supposed to do the ceremonious vote of thanks, but I just wanted to thank you before I ask the question. This isn't a question. I was just a bit surprised, and I wanted to kind of point that out at how you said movies or cinema where you don't have much budget, there is a lot more scope to experiment. And it's very much like theater, where there is no funding, and places where you have a lot of money going in, and that's not a place to experiment, which is in a way very odd, right? Like, because if you have that, why won't you kind of, that was quite right. And thank you so much for this couldn't have been the righter way to, there couldn't have been any righter way to kind of start off this whole festival. Thank you so much for that. Okay, but I'll do it in a ceremonious way later, but I just wanted to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I apologize if I've been, rambling here and there. I mean, it's been long days from the shoot, so scatterbrained is what I'm feeling a little bit right now. But thank you for bearing with me. And yeah.
Thank you so much. I think we've almost arrived to the end of our session today. I would like to request all the participants to open their video camera for the group photograph. Next.
नैना मैम भी कैमरा ऑन कर लें। अनीता जी, प्रिंसिपल मैम साथ हैं, कैमरा ऑन नहीं है मैम का।
आप बोल दीजिए एक बार।
जी
Ratna, thank you very much. I think it's a pleasure to hear things which we don't often hear, So I think in a way, it is also a move forward, with these kids who are in class. They also kind of need to know what the reality stands at and not kind of, make it up. So I think a very important intervention by you. And I think that's particularly the reason why I got you also. It was very essential for them to listen to the real talk. I think that's very important. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Done? Madhuri?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you. Okay, now I would like to invite you all to join the other sessions from tomorrow onwards, where we'll be having the 5-day long screening with 5 different movies, each followed by a panel discussion with the filmmaker, where the discussions will be and the conversation will be curated by the students themselves. Yes, Madhuri.
Yeah, I wanted to just, inform the participants that the link for the attendance is there in the chat box. Please do fill that.
Yes. Yeah. To kindly fill in the feedback form and the attendance form. And yeah, so please do join us for tomorrow and the days for the coming days as well, where we'll be screening these movies. And the details for the different movies is given on the website, college website. There's a link for the website for the movies on the college website as well. So please do join us for the coming days. Now I would like to end today's session by inviting Miss Shama Jain from English department to give out the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dolka. I'm sorry about my cat. It's a bit, but I hope it's not disruptive. I just, so on behalf of, this is my formal vote of thanks, but thank you all for coming. Dolkar and I are quite excited for the upcoming week. Also the entire women development cell that we've been working on it for quite some time now, and we're quite happy that this has kickstarted in the most gentle way possible. So we're quite glad. So on behalf of Women Development Cell Kalindi College, I'd like to thank, first of all, the institution itself for allowing us with the room and Zoom because that was the best platform, and we in fact got it, and we were quite happy about that. And so thank you so much for that. I'd like to thank Mr. Ravi Gupta, chairperson of the governing body, who was the guest of honor today. Thank you so much, sir. I'd also like to thank the principal, Professor Nena Hasija, for the formal note of welcome, and also Dr. Tagore for the speech, but also for trusting us with the whole process, and for her spontaneity, and for the way in which she can kind of think things up on the go and then kind of get it started, which is, I have to admit, quite something. I would never trust my own instincts that way. Thank you so much for that. We hope all this will come off well by the end of the week. Again, this is just the beginning. Now, finally, thank you so much, Ms. Ratnabali Chakra. Sorry, we kind of messed that up. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm so non-Bengali, that's all the same. But Ratnabali Bhattacharjee for the really nice way to kind of go over it, and that's just the kind of informal opening up we asked of you, and you were quite honest with that, and kind of stuck to it. Thank you so much. It was lovely, and we kind of hope to have very similar, along the same lines, just the kind of conversations in the coming week. We in fact would like to have you, if you'd like to watch one of those documentaries and kind of listen to that, we'd like to have you there as well. But no pressure. We know how busy your schedule is, but we're really glad you took the time off to join us today. And I bet the students were opened up to a lot of the aspects of the film, the world of film, through you. And this was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, students, again. As Dolkar said, this has only begun. This is the festival, so it's a week-long festival. We hope to see all of you for the screening tomorrow, which is at 5, and then the session, which is at 6, with the filmmakers, and that will go on till Saturday. So thank you so much, and thank you again, everyone the panelists. Thank you, Madhuri, also. Yeah, okay, bye-bye. Yeah, I mean, I'm here, but thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone. Thank you, Anita.
Recording stopped.
Ratnabali ji. So sweet. She's a sweet person, Very nice talk we had. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I feel privileged to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Shall the WDC people wait and the rest can leave? YouTube live can